Well, I'm here at Gamers Nexus, and I'm here with Steve.
There is a front door, but...
It's more convenient.
Okay.
I was expecting to emerge in the server room, but, you know, it's fine.
It is the standard mode of travel at this point. We've now done 2 videos where Wendell has emerged from a server rack. And 3 with this one.
Yeah, so I'm here visiting Gamers Nexus because there's some janitorial things that need to be done. And I thought we could do an office tour and see how the sausage is made to an extent. Because, oh boy, the facilities here, see what I did there, are very impressive.
And to be clear, I didn't ask Wendell to come out to mop the floors. Computer janitor stuff. Where do you want to start?
Well, I mean, we could start here. We could start with this.
Yes.
This is the first thing that I noticed when I came in because it was like, a dual beam tube oscilloscope. What are you doing?
Yeah, so Wendell knows more about this than I do because someone on staff, Stone, said that he came across one of these. It was just going to go into the garbage. And he's basically like, do you want it for a background prop? And I said, sure. What is it?
So it's an oscilloscope. That doesn't really tell you much. But you know, the secrets of the universe could have been discovered on this because it's so old. It's probably from like the 40s, 50s, 60s. It's not modular. I had a Tektronix unit like this when I was in college that was sort of cast off, and so like these were modular and it was on a component, but it's like you used to get leather handles and it's so big. And this is literally a CRT, just like a CRT television. And the electron gun here, you can control the X and Y. So you can set this up on like a timer, and then it'll automatically sweep the beam on a certain time interval, and then you can provide inputs of voltages to move the beam up and down.
And I noticed when we were filming the other day, we had the overhead lights off, and we just had some studio lights on for a shot, and we cut the lights off.
And it glows.
It was glowing, yeah.
Because it absorbs, yeah. You can, it would be a lot of fun to draw on this with a laser pointer or something like that. As I recall, you guys had a smaller oscilloscope in the background for a long time.
Yes, it's on the floor over there still, next to the AMD Me poster.
Also ancient.
Yeah, so that's our pile of like, this used to be in the background, and we need to go through this and distribute it amongst the office.
The Pentium Pro.
Yeah, so that I want to put back up in a either background set or on the wall or something.
This is the original footprint of Epic and Threadripper. Like, you know, it's like, is this CPU too large? Intel already answered that question with a no about 1996.
So you're saying AMD copied Intel?
Well, they didn't, yeah. I suppose.
That's the conclusion. Yeah, this is a pile of some useful and some not useful stuff.
Atari!
There's some really cool stuff in here.
Oh, look, you got a test
I also
picture.
just noticed that our SKU for our pint glass is apparently GN-beer-001 based on this box. Did you see our video on this?
No, I didn't. This is awesome. It's like a test fixture thing.
Yes, this is AMD Stardust. We made a simple video on it. So there's a couple modules we have. We have those 3 modules plus this plus DIMMs, and they're all basically dummy heaters. They are MOSFETs to heat, the plate, and what they use it for is motherboard manufacturing and for cooler design. And that's, I mean, as you know, all that stuff has to be designed before the CPU ever ships.
Now, I recognize that over there.
The Silverstone box?
No, I'm at the set.
Oh, yeah. I'm looking at it too low level. Yes, A-roll set. So.
Back to you, Steve.
Oh, no. Have you seen, we've been using your clip.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah. Like 5 different versions of it. It's fine.
We've done live streams here. Finally got those back up and going, and got the LN2 tank in the background.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah, and it's pretty simple. I would like to do a little more with this area, but this place we're still kind of filling in and figuring it out. So
it looks good. There's no need to go completely overboard.
And also,
less is more.
we had to prepare for when a fire marshal comes through so that we can explain that this is not functional. Because there's 3 inline valves, which makes 0 sense if it's functional. But it would be something they wouldn't like if it were functional. So
you're going to confuse the firemen when they come to save you. Okay.
There'll be no saving this place. There's way too many power supplies here.
Yeah, so full disclosure, I've already sort of been around the facilities. Let's check out the fan machine upstairs.
Okay, sure. So yes, this as people who have seen the channel know, we got this in a while ago. I try to not talk about new stuff that we get in before we're ready because it takes a long time to figure out. This has been one of those things, and I kept getting roped back into just trying to keep the content going. So I finally got back onto working on it again recently, and it's cool. There's pneumatic valves in here that open and close, and that's controlled by an air compressor. And this entire thing, all of this, is used to test something on this hole.
Tiny little, yeah.
Yeah.
But you can automate it. So, I mean,
yeah.
The physics of airflow is actually, you got laminar flow, and you got vortexes, and there's all kinds of really complicated physics that go into it.
Yeah.
And this basically controls for all of those variables. And we were talking about this a little bit before. Some of the problem here is that if you do discover a flaw or just a deviation in the specifications for the fan, a lot of this you probably could DIY, but then it's like, well, we found a deviation. So it's like you have to lay out a bunch of money. Man, I can't believe you guys got this up here.
Yes, and on the DIY and stuff, we had a couple comments that were like, oh, I think you could make this type of
Oh, you totally can,
whatever.
but then what if you find something?
Yeah, and that's the problem ultimately is if you find something you made, like a problem with the product and you made the test apparatus yourself,
there's a version of that,
you gotta
which
be
is,
careful.
I built a Farnsworth fuser in my basement and I have cold fusion. And it's like, yeah, but it's not net energy positive. And it's like, okay, you should be at a university building a fusion reactor in like a peer-reviewed journal, because if you really did find a way to make a Farnsworth fuser net energy positive, congratulations, collect your billions of dollars on the way out. And so this is kind of like that, but it's the fan version of that.
Yeah, that's what it's like. Yeah. I agree with those words.
There's danger of high voltage.
Yeah, we finally started getting equipment in where it was like, okay, only certain people are allowed to touch this one because it's dangerous.
OSHA and your insurer are also like that.
Yes, the power supply tester is another one of those where we, that's in another lab, but we have to tear that apart soon and replace some boards because fun facts, like this doesn't have that problem, but with power supplies when you're testing them, one of the problems with testing an electronic component where you're feeding it into the test fixture is that if the component dies or short circuits, it can kill stuff in the test fixture.
Yeah.
So.
And then you're out thousands of dollars.
Yeah, unfortunately the failure on ours was a couple fuses and a relay that's like 30 cents on eBay. So.
Well, that's really good.
Yeah.
This is awesome. Do you want to talk about the,
This? Yeah, sure. So yeah, we're building a larger one of these. I just got the construction team started on mapping it all out. This was our initial foray into
This is not cheap foam.
sound. No. No, we got really lucky though. So one of the things that we were talking about this with the server hardware, I take a lot of pride, and I think you do too, in trying to like get refurb stuff and put it back into service. You save a lot of money, like this type of stuff. We would not have been able to really afford or justify this new, but it's a retired Apple testing fixture, and they just dump that stuff if you know where to look. So
this is a chamber that's so quiet. You're going to be able to, you're going to put stuff in here and hear stuff like coil whine and just the transformers humming.
Yeah.
And at first it's going to, you'll feel like there's a problem, but just the normal background noise of Earth is high enough that you don't hear the transformer humming in most scenarios.
It's insane. Yeah, it's what I've learned with just this. Like, it doesn't look like that much compared to a big anechoic chamber, which, like I said, next time you'll be able to see that. But these walls are 4 inches thick of steel with a gap. It's got insulation in it and then air gaps.
Yeah, it's also got the for real rubber.
Yeah, a real, definitely good seal. There's, I think they use lead internally in some spots. And so end result is, I do this demo a lot, but I put my phone in there, max volume, playing royalty-free Ben Sound music, and you won't be able to hear it outside. So
that's awesome.
Yeah,
real testing, brought to you by the Gamers Nexus.
And we trialed this on the Steam Deck, and it worked great. So it's.
Oh, that was the one where people were spurging for no reason.
Yeah.
But that was good testing. It was just misunderstood. All right, so we're seeing, we're going through the bowels of the labyrinth here. But testing, or the sausage, where is the sausage made?
There are, unfortunately, no sausages made here, but it could be done.
You know, it's like, I love this. This is speaking my language.
Yeah.
You know, I had one of the codes people come through at our office, and they're like, "Where's your fume hood?" And I was like, "I use that twice a year."
Yeah.
And I was like, "No, scratch that. Never mind. That's decorative." And they were like, "Oh, okay, that's fine."
Yeah. Yeah. It's not used too frequently, and you get some fans around it, you know, for the smaller work we do, and you're fine.
We don't even use lead-based solder anymore.
Yeah,
It's fine.
Yeah. And this is really nice actually for. They're fairly cheap on Amazon digital microscopes, and you just put it out to some monitor.
I know what's getting replaced here.
Oh yeah. We never published this thing. So we had 2 of those Asus boards running nonstop load tests for months, and they never failed.
Yeah.
And then we finally put one into use because we were like, I guess it's not going to fail. Like, it was the capacitor backwards problem. And as soon as we put it into use, it failed.
That's funny. Yeah, I did a video on sleuthing through an Asus, the one for the 3175.
Yes.
So those would age in such a way that
The
they
warm bug?
Yeah, they won't power on if they're cold. And by cold, I mean below like 70 degrees C.
I remember you talking about that last time where it was not even a real cold bug. It was like a room temperature bug.
Yeah, and it's like you could, and then it would come on and be fine. So, and it's fun. It's nice to have the tools to be able to do that when you encounter those kinds of issues.
Yeah, but that's like, as an end user,
yeah,
good luck figuring that out.
Yeah.
You know, like,
yeah.
So this is the cooler testing area.
Ooh.
And the
Gold.
the actual coolers go on here. We do pressure testing over here as well.
The pressure testing machine is so cool.
Yeah, so this is just the results if you're curious, the raw data, but
was this with the mounting plate for the Alder Lake CPUs?
this one is, yeah. So this is like raw data that comes out of the pressure testing. We have a very advanced system where when it's not published, it goes there, and when it's published, it goes there. So.
That was definitely a very strongly recommended video. The Walmart pressure, like because there's 2 contact points on Alder Lake. Correct me if I'm wrong here. It sort of wants to warp over time a little bit.
Yeah.
But you can replace the retention mechanism with just an aluminum thing you get on Walmart for like $7, and it makes a pretty big difference. Makes it flatter.
Or AliExpress for like $4.35.
Oh, yeah.
3 months later, you'll have a solution for very cheap.
You should check out that video because it is really, it's like you wouldn't think that would be a thing, but holy crap, it's a thing.
And it brings down the temperature in a meaningful. So like, if you're running ITX, an extra 7 degrees is kind of a lot. You know, off of a 200 plus watt CPU.
Yeah.
So. It's cool.
And you have Gamers Nexus to thank for that kind of testing.
I guess the rest of this lab, I don't know, that stuff's pretty cool over there.
The power supply tester. Look. It's so good.
Yeah, so this is, we're replacing some parts on this now because we did short circuit testing on the minus 12 volt rail on a Thermaltake $30 power supply. It failed the testing and it blew up a relay on the testing device. So, which is where like stuff like cybernetics comes in. We're doing cross-load validation for short. It really matters. And anyway, so that's the test fixture. We bought this after the Gigabyte stuff. I've been trying. You can pick it up. It's like that's a pretty serious blast shield. So you're probably familiar with that scope. To your right.
Oh yeah, no.
Very affordable, does the job great. So.
Yeah, I love setups like this because, you can run through a full power supply gamut test in like 15 minutes, and sometimes with some of the automated stuff, you don't really catch that. Like, wow, the power supply was making a crunchy gravel sound, but it passed the test.
Yeah, automation it's like good to an extent, but if it's not set up right, there's a lot of potential for error. There's potential where you like miss stuff, and so this is somewhat automated, and that once you tell it to go, it goes. But up until that point, you do need to input all the values. So like the voltages, the current for each rail.
What you expect to happen, how fast this thing's gonna trigger a transient.
Right, and then you ask Jordy to make it go, and it goes. We like Jordy. Jordy makes it go.
Also want to call it your variable voltage regulator. These are surprisingly expensive, but they're really super handy. So where I grew up it was basically the very end of the transformer. We didn't get 110 volts at the wall. It was more like 100 volts. And that would sometimes fry things, especially like during an electrical storm, you'd lose your TV.
Yeah, and that's cool too, because it allows us to not only control for I don't know, you want to try and get a top-down shot on this, Andrew, but it allows us to control for the voltage coming out of the wall. So if we put the power supply under more load, we might have to increase to account for a V-droop. But it also allows functionally, not even simulation, it's actually just reality of a lower voltage scenario.
Yep.
So like in Japan, for example, one of the things that Corsair validates against is dropping to like 90 volts or something in some outlets.
Yeah.
And so you can do that with this by just turning it down.
There are definitely some American outlets that are less than 110.
Yes. the stuff in older houses,
oh yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
So that allows you to create like even a brownout situation or something.
Are you saying your 2-prong outlet in your older house with your 1,000-watt power supplies may be a little bit of a problem?
We'll see how it does with the RTX 40 series. Suddenly, NVIDIA is asking the entire infrastructure of a country to upgrade itself for their new GPU.
That's how it goes.
Time to get a new house.
I love how organized everything is in terms of like, this thing happens here.
Yeah.
This thing happens here. This thing happens here.
I think that's some like, I don't even know what you call it. It's like a survivor syndrome of getting out of a 9x10 bedroom where like most of this lab, it was at a smaller scale, a lot less furniture, but most of this was all packed in the bedroom I started in, which is about 9x10. So you look at all this stuff, and the only way that happens is stacking vertically, you know. So now that we're finally out of it, it's like we still have a little bit of like let's try and pack it in and over-organize it, even though we don't need to anymore. But
yeah,
it's easy to work with.
That's a lot of fun. I also love that there's a pretty good mix of benches here. It's like you haven't found the Zen bench yet. It's like this is this bench and this is that bench.
There's 2 Ryzen benches over there.
And this one, well, I mean, just like the furniture. So it's just, you know.
Yeah, I like these ones. I don't know, it's really boring discussion for a video, so this will get cut out, but that's my favorite table, and then these are my second favorite tables.
No, see, I love furniture, because my furniture came from Lucent. Like, I looked specifically for the perfect workbench, and it was ultimately from Steelcase, which was from Lucent. And so it's like, I see this, and it's like, oh, I could, yeah. You get the bolt-on rubber mat here, and
yeah.
it's like the...
We picked this up from, this is another like liquidation story for you. So we picked this up from a, I forget who it was. I want to say it was ASRock or someone. Patrick would remember, but it was a server company locally that we didn't know they had a branch here even, which is for good reason because they shut down and they sold everything. So yeah, we picked up a lot of stuff like this, and it's come to great use. And these, they even put foil underneath and grounded it all properly.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. That's what we've done with some of the benches at the office. Is the Steelcase desks are all steel, and then it's like, well, I can just put some foil here, and then ta-da, it's a grounded workstation.
Right. So for server work, I would imagine that's
makes life easy.
Yeah.
And the surface is also indestructible.
Right.
As opposed to your nice, wood tops.
Yeah,
everywhere else.
and all the grounding and stuff, I think, is your audience is probably a little more skewed towards server, but for PC DIY stuff, this is pretty overkill because you plug the table into the wall to ground it. For like some of the stuff you work on, if Supermicro sends you a really nice server, it's like, how much do you really want to gamble? Like,
I accidentally murdered it. Sorry. No, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's fine.
If you murder it?
No, it's fine that I have not yet murdered it. It's not fine. It's fine.
All right, where next? It's another room.
Where is this? Okay, so there's tape on the floor. That must mean there's plans.
Yeah. So this room, we finally got moving on getting a real hemi-anechoic chamber in it. So hemianechoic is when the floor is still solid, so it's not suspended. But you've probably been in anechoic chambers at some point. So we're gonna build basically on this half of the room, and we're putting in 4-inch sprains at the ground level that are, I think they're 3 hertz sprains, and we put a concrete slab on top of this. It's all being done by professionals. I am not doing it.
They're sparing no expense.
Yes, it will be properly permitted and engineered construction. So yeah, there'll be sprains, concrete slab, and that means that it's super cool. The floor will be isolated from the other floor, so if there's a truck driving by, it actually won't pick up in the chamber. And then I think the exterior is going to be like 16 by 16 feet or something.
For your first video in that, just to show how insane it is, you should record the sound of someone moving. Because like when you stand in one of those, and you adjust after a couple of minutes, and you like move your arm, you hear that.
Yeah.
And you move your hands, and it's like I can hear the tendons in my arm. It's a little disturbing.
Yeah, the really high-end ones like Logitech has, you can hear so there's a suspended room within a room, and it's floating, and you can hear like the blood in your head.
Yeah.
That one's kind of creepy. So,
but
yeah.
you can pick up your hands moving on a microphone in those, which is just insane.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, but it'll allow us it'll have the space we need to do noise testing on devices that create more airflow than, say, we would use in the small chamber.
Yeah.
So right now the small chamber is not good if we have faster fans, because the wind hits the wall and then it kind of comes back and influences the result.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, so that's
cool.
the plan for this.
It's exciting.
I really like what they were trying to capture here.
Yeah, it's like I get a strong sense of cohesion, but also nature, and it's very calming.
The synergy and the juxtaposition are both good.
I can tell that your goal with building this space is one of inspiration and quiet contemplation.
Yes.
It's really very impressive.
I agree with those words.
This looks a little familiar. We got to update this for Z690.
Yeah, an X670. Yeah.
X670, yeah.
So yeah, this was 570. It was interesting. You provided some feedback on this because, as you know, the X570, any of the chipsets really, you have certain lanes and you can divert them to do whatever you want. So you kind of have to pick a path to do. Here's all the different things you can construct with this chipset.
I'm really surprised about the whole daisy chaining chipset this time around.
Oh, that was weird.
Yeah, but I think they're doing that because otherwise you need redrivers and PLX stuff, and without that, you don't need it.
Yeah, so I was wondering if it's either for proximity to the device that it's supplying with lanes.
Yes, I think so.
Or
that's 99% of it.
Okay, because the other option would be like thermal density or something.
No.
And they did get rid of the fan this time.
Yeah.
But it sounds like you think it's more signaling.
Yeah, and also like scalability. They could have a lower cost one that's just one. And I think that in the beginning, they probably thought they would have 2 independent X4 links to the CPU, but the long, that bottom half of the motherboard, that's just too long.
Right.
So daisy chain it instead. I think that's what they're going to do.
The poster is working. You're using it educationally. This is awesome. The next one's going to be really hard because we have to do like 2 different hubs for the chipset.
Yeah, there's literally, it's going to come down to this hub, and then it's like, and then come down to the next hub.
It's one talks to the other. Is it still like one link to one, and then that bridges to the other?
Yep.
It's not 2 to the CPU, right?
Right.
Okay.
Which is
interesting.
Yeah. I mean, this definitely would be a bandwidth bottleneck.
Right.
If you had a really high density configuration, but you still have tons of lanes directly into the CPU on the other side. So it still gives motherboard makers some options.
Yeah.
I mean, they could do redrivers and a PLX bridge and some other stuff.
They've done it in the past. It does add cost. I don't know that 2 chipsets probably adds a lot of cost too, though.
Yeah.
So
I'd love to see a workstation class board designed for the 16 core, but that'd be nice. But yeah, the artwork and stuff is cool. It's a very nice, very comfortable space.
Andrew did these. Good job, Andrew.
Good job, Andrew. My life for ire.
Honor guide me. What now falls? G-house.
And the last stop on our tour, my workstation while I was reconfiguring the server and doing all the fun stuff.
Was it enough horsepower?
Yeah, dual V100s. I think it's gonna be okay.
Yeah, this has been pretty good for us. We use for like editing and for compression in the future. So compressing B-roll and stuff.
We'll be deploying a 10 gigabit NIC in this sucker. Oh yeah. If it doesn't already have one.
This one does.
Yeah!
But it used to be plugged into handmade cables that at the old office, we didn't
100
realize.
megabit.
Oops.
Oops. That's not nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was a lot of fun. This was a tremendous tour. Gamers Nexus. You know the name. Now you know the office space.
It rhymes.
It rhymes.
Yeah.
Thanks. Thanks for hosting me.
Thank you.
Thanks for letting me do this tour. It's
Yeah.
really awesome. Steve, Gamers Nexus, go subscribe if you have. I'm sure you're already subscribed.
We'll have a video too where Wendell built us a new server. So really excited about that.
It's Threadripper Pro. Because I couldn't get Sapphire Rapids.
And TrueNAS.
Oh yeah, and TrueNAS. We moved to TrueNAS because it's Linux based for TrueNAS scaled. So it's bleeding a little around the edges, but it's good. It's really good. And ZFS, of course ZFS. Because why not ZFS?
And it was extremely easy to transplant
Yes.
because I didn't do any of it.
Yes. If you have any questions or anything, there'll probably be a forum thread. I don't know, you can check it out. You can hit me up in the forum. I'm Wendell, this is Level1. I'm signing out. You can find me in the Level1 forums. Ah!